Whiteboard Explainer. Currently, it's version 1.6, and if you download it, you get a little README text, you get a link to a tutorial online, and you get this project folder. And inside the project folder, you'll see that this one on top here is one that I made a copy of, but the ones down below here, what you get this main start here, which is obviously the one you open up first. Then you get these 3 sets of line drawings that you can incorporate into your project. And then you get 2 pre-made stories here. You have 1 and 2. Again, I made copies of them just in case I need to change some things. But you get story 1 and story 2. Let's just take a look at story 1 for the time being. So I'm going to open up this copy, first of all, double-click on that and open that up, just to get a sense of how these things look when you load them up. Right now, if you scroll down here, you see some empty pages. Doesn't look like anything's happening here. That's because there are some animations and the stuff, and when you have animations turned on, you can't see what's going on the page. But notice in the top here, it says enable editing. And that's something you need to do with this particular product. What the folks at BlueFX did is they created a macro that you need to load up inside PowerPoint for the animations to work. And I'm going to explain that in a little more detail in just a moment. But I'm going to click this link now, and I'll click this enable content thing there. And now we can be able to see the animations. And what happened when I did that was we added a little menu up here called motion. That wasn't there before. If you click on motion, you see these little icons here that are the types of animations you can do inside the new PowerPoint explainer. So this wasn't there before. Motion was not there before, but you enabled the macro, then these guys showed up. And again, I'll explain this in a moment. I just want to show you this example of how this works. So I'm going to go to animations here. Now I'm going to click preview. And that's kind of what it looks like. It's hello. I'll go to the next slide. Preview that. And you get this little thing coming in. So these are the animations that you get with this new template. So Joe runs his own business. And if I click on preview, you see what it's going to look like. Little scribble on, all kinds of other animations here. And you can say like that. And then these guys come in, and then little X's. So that's the kind of animation that you could create with PowerPoint. Who would have thought you could do that with PowerPoint? That looks very much like an After Effects kind of thing. But you can do this with PowerPoint with this set of line drawings and with the macro that creates those motions. So I'll close this down here, and I'll go get the main PowerPoint template. So I'll go to project, and I'm going to open up this copy here because I don't want to change the original one here for the time being. So I'm going to open that up, double click on that. And when you open this up, there are 3 slides that are already showing there. One is this slide that says thanks for buying this. And the second one is this blank thing with this kind of nice background to it. That background, in fact, is a full screen image. It's just placed there to make it just look a little nicer when you work on your project. So you don't have to have that, but that's nice to have. And then you got this thing down here with all the various hand animations. And you don't want to delete this one. Notice it has a line through it, number 3 there, if you can see that. That line says it will not show up in any of your animations or your slideshows. All right, so you can delete this first one. And it says before editing this template, you can watch this video tutorial. There it is. That's the tutorial that had a link elsewhere as well. At the top here, when you open up this project for the first time in Windows, you're going to get this thing that says protected view and enable editing. And what that does is that turns on the macro that I told you about. It now has the motion macro there that wasn't there before. That's the main thing there. And then it says macros have been disabled. And now we're enabling the content, which are 2 things you do when you fire this up in Windows. Macs look a little different, and I need to show you what they look like. I don't have a Mac turned on right now. So let me just go to my live class assets here, and I'll show you what the Mac thing looks like. So you can also make sure that macro is turned on. So Mac, you want to go, let me pull this guy over here so you can see it. There we go. In a Mac, you want to go PowerPoint. You click on the word PowerPoint up there in the upper left-hand corner, PowerPoint. And when you click on that, you'll have an option for preferences. When you open up preferences, you get this screen here. And you want to go to security. Let me show you the follow-up to that one. There we go. And when you open up security, you get this little security and privacy dialog box. And you want to click on this thing, enable all macros. And that's important because you got to turn on the macro to make the PowerPoint thing work here, this presentation work. And then it says custom action security. You want to allow actions to run programs without notification. You can have it with notification just to tell you that it's happening, but without notification makes it a little bit easier. So you can click that radio button down there below the one that's already checked there. I can't check on it because it's just a screen grab that I got here. But that's how you turn on macros for PowerPoint inside the Mac operating system. So I'll close this down here. And there's also, in case for some reason those little guys don't show up, and to turn off macros for Windows, there's this link here that it's kind of, I mean, almost crazy for me to show it to you, but I will copy and paste that because it's just too much for you to copy down there. But if you go online, and just in case, I'm not saying, I can't imagine that this will happen, but just in case those little options show up and you can't make it work to your benefit, then you can go to this place. So you can search, enable or disable macros in Office files. So if you want to search on that, Google that or whatever, you'll get to this page probably. But here's the thing that explains that and explains this enables macros on the message bar appears. We just did that. And then there are other ways to change the macro settings in what's called the Trust Center. And if you go to PowerPoint and you go to File, there's a thing down here at the bottom. Oh, no, I don't see it. Options. Yeah. And then Trust Center. And then when you go inside here, you go to the Trust Center settings, and you can then disable macros with a notification, or disable them without notification, or enable all macros, which is what you'd want to do in this particular case. So I've already taken care of that though in this particular case, but that's the way you do it in case you don't see that little guy at the top of the screen asking you to do it. Okie dokie. Let me kind of expand this a little bit here. Okay, so I think we've took care of all that stuff. Let me go back to PowerPoint now. All right, so the goal now is to basically show you how this thing works. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this first slide, right-click on it and say delete slide. And then here's our blank slate. Now, you're going to want to work with multiple pages like this, and so you probably want to duplicate this multiple times, but I want to show you a little thing that I like to do first. And so I want to add a line to this thing that'll be kind of the floor as we're creating our little story. So to do that, I want to have a different PowerPoint project open. So let me see if I got that open already. I don't think I do. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't have that open already. So I'm going to go get that other project here. I'm going to go back to Blue Effects. I'm going to go to my templates. I'm going to go to my Whiteboard Explainer, and I can actually go to, I'm going to go to the extra packs thing and open up the All Sketches file. Now this All Sketches file is like 95 slides. It's insane, right? But a lot of these will be included if you buy the regular explainer without actually getting anything extra for it. But if I scroll down here a little ways, you see there's some lines. I click on that. I want to have this line here. So these are all things you can copy and paste into your project. So I'm going to select this guy by just clicking on it like so. Now I'm going to copy it. I can right click and choose copy. And now I can minimize this for the time being and go back to my other PowerPoint presentation right there. And with this thing open like that, turned on, and now you can see that this actually is a separate thing behind there like that. It's just a separate little background, separate layer. I right click here and say paste, and you can various paste options. You can keep the source formatting or whatever. I just paste it like so. And now I want to drag this down so that it's at an appropriate spot for a floor for my story. And now I want to animate this, and and then I want to then duplicate this. Actually, I just want to duplicate this. I don't want to animate it. So I'm going to duplicate this so I have a floor on multiple slides. So to duplicate something, you just right-click and duplicate. Right-click and, come on, where are you? Right-click and duplicate slide. There you go. And I'll do that a few times here. Do a bunch of them here. This way, when I go from one slide to the next, I don't have to animate on the little bottom, the little line on the bottom. I want to animate on once and then have it be the sort of residing as the bottom from that point forward. Some people might want to animate it on every single time, but I think that's maybe a little confusing to do that. So I'm going to select this now, and I'll show you how to animate something. If normally you would be, let's say, the home page here, like that, the home menu. But to animate something, you need to go to the motion menu here. And there are things where you're dragging things on the screen with a hand that you saw. You saw the hands, the groups of hands down here at the bottom, those guys. You can animate something on the screen using those hands, or you can draw things on the screen. Either it's just by drawing a line, and that'll follow whatever line you have there, or you can write text. It'll look like it's writing the text. It's not really writing text, but it looks like it's writing the text. Or you can scribble something on where it kind of wobbles all over the place. Or if you have a circle or a rectangle on the screen, then it'll do it like a wipe, like a clock wipe to bring those guys on the screen. So we're going to draw the line here. So with this object active, you just click on draw a line, and that adds an animation to it. Now I notice a little hand shows up down there. If I take my zoom factor down here in the lower right hand corner and kind of zoom out a little ways, there's this little hand there that's off screen. You can see it's just a few pixels off screen, which is where it should be. And now if I want to see how this works, I go to animations and preview. And that's our line coming on. Now I think that's pretty cool just on its own. And so that line will be there from this point forward. And when let's say if I do a slideshow now, you go to slideshow. And if I say from the beginning, I'll click a mouse button to bring that on. And then I'll click to the next slide. And it doesn't look like anything happened, but it went to the next slide and there was no jump. The floor stayed there. You might want to animate it on again, but I don't. I think it's just good to not have it animate on more than once. So I'm going to go down to the bottom here and end the slideshow and go back to the first screen. So there we go. Now we got this, we got this first screen loaded up there with that little animation. Now, if you want to make a story, you need to decide, what your story is and that kind of stuff. And so I'm going to just tell you a little story about a particular person who's got a little issue that she wants to resolve. And so to do that, I need to go over to that collection of all those line drawings. So I go over to that group over here, the all sketches here. I'm going to scroll up to the top where I got a bunch of characters there, all those folks there. And I'm going to pick out a character from this group here. So I just look at that group and I'm going to say this person is, let's say she's kind of concerned about something. So I pick the kind of concerned look, right? And I do Control-Command-C to copy that, or I can right click and say copy as well. And I need to go back to the other template here and just click over here, right click there and say paste. And I can choose any one of these little guys, but I'll just say paste. And there she is. I want to put over here, maybe make her a little bit larger, like so. All right. And I'm going to animate her on, but before I do that, I want to have some text here. Let me slide it to the right a little bit. I want some text over here. So to go to do text, I want to go to insert. Now it's a little different, I think, on a Mac. I think on a Mac you go to home, I think, but on Windows it's insert, and you put in a text box. So I'm going to go click on the text, go to insert text box. I'm going to draw a text box here like so, and I'm going to say Mary. Actually, I want to use a different font. I'll put it in first. Mary needs a new product. And I'll highlight that text. So, and I want to change it to different font. The folks at BlueFX recommend that when you're doing this kind of animation, you use Comic Sans, it's called. So I'll just type in comic here. Comic Sans, there you go. And I'll click that. So it gives it kind of works for this. I think 18 is way too small. I'm going to go up much higher like that. Now we'll go maybe to 80. That's too big. There you go. And the thing about this is you'll see that if I animate this, it's going to animate on in a strange way because the animation will think of this as one long line of text. So instead of having a long line of text, I'm going to put a carriage return there after the letter A, and then put that like that. So now it should work. So I want to now animate these things on the screen. So actually, I just thought of something. I'll say meet Mary first. Sorry, I'm going to copy that, Control-Command-C, and put that down here. Control-Command paste that one down there. There we go. I really want to say meet Mary, so let's meet her first. Meet Mary. Sorry about that. Okay, no, that's better, I think. All right, there we go. So we'll animate these guys on first, and I'll put a little maybe ellipsis after this. Yeah. All right, so I want to animate her on. So I'm going to say I want to animate something on. We've already got the line coming on first. The next thing that'll come on, I'll click on Mary. I'll animate her on the screen. So to do that, we go back to motion. And I'm going to drag her from the left, meaning I'm dragging her right. And you see how things kind of adjusted there. And the hand is going to be covering her up. So this is not by default, it's just kind of where the hand gets located. So you can select the hand like so and change its location such that it's not, come on, let me make this smaller so I can see it better. There you go. And drag that farther to the left. There we go, more like that. So when that animates on the screen, his hand is not covering her up. So that's one animation. And now I'm going to drag this guy over a little bit. And we'll want to then select the text. So just having the box selected is sufficient here. I want the text to write on. I'll do this write text line. So I click that. And this other hand appears. And it's not dragging it on the screen. It's going to write it on the screen. And notice that the pen starts at the left-hand side of this box here. All right, let's check our work here. So I'm going to go to Animations. And I'm going to say Preview. And there's that line. There's Mary. And Meet Mary. Now, right now, I'm hoping you're going, wow, that's PowerPoint? Who knew PowerPoint could do this? But that's what this macro does. And you might notice over in animations here, it shows it has a wipe, but the wipe was wrapped into that macro to cause these things to happen the way they happen like that. So it's very cool that that works that way. All right, so that's Mary. Now we want to go to the next slide. So I'm going to go down to this next slide here. And Mary needs a new product. And I want to add Mary again. But this time I want her, instead of, if I go up here, by the way, and I want to see how this is going to look when it's done, I go back to motion. And I hide the animations. So now it looks like the way it's going to look when it's done. Just kind of zoom in a bit on that one. There we go. There we go. So you can see how that's going to look when it's done. But I think it's good always to unhide the animations. So I always have those guys off to one side. But you can always hide them just to kind of, as you're editing things, to see how it looks. Okay. I'm going to go on to this next one here. And let's add another version of Mary here. So I'm going to go get a different version of Mary. Up here, Mary is kind of, but then now she's going to be thinking about something, right? So I go back to this group here, and she's thinking about something. She's not happy yet, but she's thinking about something. So Control-Command-C to copy that. And on this one here, I'll just right-click and say Paste. And she's over there, and I want to make her taller. And we need some kind of transition here to Mary. If I go from one to the next, she'll be a little different heights. I could have aligned it better, but because I could have copied and pasted, but I'm going to transition her on using another one of these guys where you scribble her on. You don't have to always drag someone. You can scribble something on, not just text, but something. So I'll click that. That'll scribble her on. And then I'm going to select this guy, make that active, and I'll have that one I'll come in from the right-hand side on that one. So I'll drag it left. Right? And if I zoom out to see where the hand is, to make sure it's not covering up too many things, I'll take the hand and maybe put it more like in the center like that. All right, let's check how that works. So I go to Animations and preview that. And there's the scribble on, and there's the thing. Now, again, pretty cool, right? All right, so so down here, I'll do another one here. And so I want Mary to think about that product, perhaps. And so there are some animated sketches. There are two little sets, 2 pages of animated sketches. I want to use that here so you can see how animated sketches work. So I'm going to go put down another version of Mary here. Let's go back to the collection here where she's got it. Maybe she's kind of going, yeah, I got something on my mind here. So I'll right-click on that and copy that. I'll go to page 3 here and paste that and drag over here as well. And put that up like that. Now this time I'm going to use, I want her there already. So I'm not going to animate her on using one of these motion things that we have from BlueFX because I don't want her sort of popping on the screen every single time. So, I mean, you can choose to do this as you wish. So I'm going to transition from one slide to another here. So I'm just going to do a fade transition. So she'll fade on over this one as we go to the next scene, just so you know how that works. And I'm not really trying to be, teach you how to do PowerPoint. I think probably most people have some basic idea how to use PowerPoint. There are some tips and tricks you can use in PowerPoint that in terms of how the animations work, how they're timed, and what sets off the animation. We're using the default means to cause something to start, and that is just a mouse click or clicking on the arrow key or clicking on the space bar, something like that. So we're going to stick with that, but there are ways that you can change that. And we're going with the default here. But we can transition from one slide to another, so I'm doing that. Now I want to add another text box here, so I'll go back up one notch here to this one, or 2 notches, and click on that, and click on this. I'm going to copy this little guy here, Control Command C, so that way I maintain the text, the font. I'll do paste here, and I'll just say, I'm going to type in here, say, Mary is thinking. And I'll put a carriage return here after there to keep it in one space like that. Mary is thinking. And I'm going to put a little animated sketch here. So I'm going to go back over here to this group. I'm going to scroll down here until I see the animation sets. You can't tell they're animated just by looking at them. You just need to know they're animated. So I'm going to scroll down here until I find them. Please show up soon. There they are. Those 2 guys there, if you click on it, you'll see animated on the top there to give you an indication. Those 2 guys. Now I'm going to take this little gears spinning thing here. I'll do Control Command C on that. Go back over here. And I'm going to paste those guys here. Just paste them in there like so, and we'll put them over here like that. And we'll expand them a little bit like so. And I think we can move this over a little bit like so, and maybe make these guys even larger. Those guys are animated. You may not know it, but they are. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to have her come on all by herself. And I'm going to click on this, and we'll animate this using the motion tools here. And we'll just scribble that on. Okay. And then with this guy, we'll move that in from the right, let's say. So we'll drag it left. Let's just take a look at how that works. I'll go to Animations, and I'll preview that. Oops, uh-oh. Oh, I know what happened there. Okay, I know. Notice when I copied and pasted it, it took the animation from page 1 there and put it on here, and now it's animated twice. So I'm going to I can click on one of these. So I click on 0 and just delete it. So now it's just one animation. That's kind of how that works. I think that'll fix it. Let's just take a look again. There you go. And notice the little icon spin there. That's really cool. They do that. And I want to show you how, if I go to the slideshow here, if I go to slideshow, and I say from this current slide, I'll press my space bar. There she is. I'll put that in there. And now I'm going to transition to the next slide. You see how it dissolves like that to the next slide. So you don't have to use the motion tool. I think it's smoother to just use a slide transition to go to the next thing here and bring in that guy there. And that guy will spin until we're done with that slide. All right, so let me go down and end the slideshow here. I hope you're going, that was cool. Pretty neat. Okay, then I'll go down here. The next one, I'm going to have another version of Mary down here. So I'm going to transition again. I like the idea of transitioning. So I'll go to the transition here. I'm going to say we'll fade to that one as well. And I'll pick this one. I'll get a different version of Mary where she's a whole lot happier. So we got to go back at the top again, right there. And scroll down here a little ways. Oops, went past my collection of Marys. There she is. And I'll say, let's see. I'll click on that one, say she's happy now. And we'll put that here, paste that in there. Slide, drag it over there and make that larger. That's about right. And we'll say, Mary is a great idea. So I'm going to take this group here, Control Command C, go down here, Control Command V, or just paste. Whoops, wrong one. That didn't work. Let this try that again. You make that box active. I'll right click on it just to make sure we got it right. Copy down here, right click, paste. Hopefully that's going to work this time. There we go. And I'm going to say Mary has a great idea. That happens when you do a carriage return before you finish. I'll just type on the G to keep the automatic uppercase there away. And this, if I click on this, I go to motion again and click on this. Okay, it looks like I don't see. Oh, if I go to animation, let's see what happens there. If it has, oh, it already has the animation on it. I'm going to delete that animation, and we'll have this one come in from some other direction. Click on that, and I'm going to add a little idea animation. So let's go back down here to those animated things again. kind of this little light bulb there. Click on that, Controller Command C, back over here, paste that. Little guy will come in over there. And we'll make that bigger, like so. And I'll highlight this text, just to give it some pizzazz. We'll change the color from black to red, let's say. Yep. And I can even maybe put exclamation point there, just to really make it work. Okay, so now we need to animate these guys. So we're having her come on with a dissolve, and we'll say do the light bulb first, okay? So we'll go back to motion, and we'll drop this down from the top. And notice where the hand is. I can zoom out a bit. The hand is probably a reasonable location, but I'll put it more in the center like that. And let's go back down the other ways. Oops. And we'll go back down to this guy again. And I want to check this text here. And we'll have this text slide in from the right. So I'll drag it left. And let's check the animations in this one now. So go to animations, preview. There you go. Actually, I'm thinking maybe Mary has a great idea. This one probably should be from the bottom. So I'm going to go back to motion. And with that active like that, I'm going to delete that animation. Okay. And instead, let it come in from the bottom. So I'll drag it up like so. Let's take a look at that animation now. I'll go back to, actually, let me scroll down here. Let me just pull out a little bit and see where the hand is located on there. That's not bad. I'll click on it, make more like in the middle like that. All right, now we'll take a look at the animations there and preview that. Yep, and why is that not working? Try that again. Huh. I don't know why that didn't come in, so I'm going to go back to motion here. Sometimes things happen. I'm going to unhide these things. I'm going to hide these things. And that guy got moved off the screen is what happened to us. So, okay, so let me go back to you. Sometimes things happen, so let's not get, there you go. That should be okay now. So I'm going to go back and look at animations to see which ones have animations. Okay. And this one now it looks like it's going to work. So let's try it out and see what happens. Preview. Okay. Everything's backwards now. Okay, things happen. So let's just go back to you. It's because I hid the animation. I need to unhide the animations. Everything's goes when you hide the animation, then you go to animations, it goes backwards. So let me go back to animations again, and we'll try this time. And are you gonna do it? There you go. And oh, oh gosh. Okay, people. I'm gonna start from scratch here. I'm going to click on you, and we're going to delete that animation, and we're going to click on you and delete that animation. And try again. I tell you, sometimes, you're doing the live class, things happen. So I'll make you active, and I want to have you come in from the right, I think, like so. And I'll take him, put him kind of over like that. Okay, hopefully that'll work this time. And I'm going to click on the text, and we'll have the text come in from the bottom. So we'll drag it up like so. And now let's go to animations and see what happens. Sorry, people. And there's that, and then there's that. Oh, okay, hallelujah. So that's how that works. And what I want to do now is just do one more little thing. And so you've seen how animated sketches work. And let me just do one more thing here. I'm going to go to this panel. I want to say what that idea is, but I really don't have a specific product in mind. But I do have, if I scroll down here a little ways, there are locations. Down here, way down here. There's a location there. Location. There's kind of a lab. I like that one. No, there's like a. Let's see. All kinds of locations here, and there was one that I remember. Yeah, there's a little lab like that. So I'm going to copy it. This is one huge graphic here. I'm going to right-click on that and say copy, and go back to you and do paste here. And it's going to be too big for our purposes, anyways. So, but we'll just say this is where it's going to happen. So I'm going to then also get a picture of her again. Let's go back to the characters again. Let's go back up there. And this time I'm going to look for her. Let's say, I've got one of her standing in front of a panel somewhere, and now I don't see that, where she's standing in front of a graph. Rats. I might have that in a, I mean, I have that, but I can't find, oh, there it is. There you go. I'll take that one there, I think. I want her standing in front of that one. Okay, Control or Command C on that one. Tell you, our Mary gets around. And I'm going to paste her as well. Right click and paste. And we'll put her down here, and we'll make this substantially larger. And so that'll work like that. So there's her idea. We'll call that the idea. And we're going to have her be successful. And so I want to highlight her. And you can highlight her in some fashion using one of these graphics as well. So I'm going to go over here to this little guy and go to these elements down here. And I want to pick, let's say, a circle like that to highlight her. So I'm going to click on that, select it, Control or Command C. Go back over here, and we're going to highlight her a little bit. Let me zoom in a bit so you can get a better feel for that. Control or Command V here, or paste. And there's this little circle that I want to put around her. That's kind of like the star of the show here. So I'll put that around her like so, and I'm going to expand this a little bit so it's around her entire self there, maybe like that. And I want to give that a color. So I go to Home. So in Windows, it's probably a little bit different on Mac. When I go to Home, and there's a Shape Fill option here, and I'm going to make that red. So it turns that thing red. Okay, so now we're going to animate all three of these things. So I'm going to start by bringing on the lab. So go to Motion, and we're going to drag that in from the right, so we drag it left. And then I'm going to select her, and I'm going to, instead of dissolving from one thing to the next, this is so obviously different, I'm going to scribble her on. And then for this little circle here, you can draw a circle. Now, it's not really a circle, it's an oval, and so it won't be exactly ideal because this will try to draw a circle around the oval, but you'll get the sense how this works. And we'll go to animations now. We'll see how this is going to work. So there's the lab, there's her, and she's the star of the day. So that is, I'm going to save this, the whole project here. I'll do File, Save As, or just Save As, and I'm going to go to my collection of live class stuff here. And we'll call this one Mary. Scroll down here to live class 88. Call this one Mary. You can see I've already done something like this before. Mary's other story. So I've already done one with this story. Okay, so there we have finished this. I'm going to delete this slide down here. Don't need that one. So now we have this story. And you can call yourself done now if you want to. You can go do a slideshow and like right there. And you can stand in front of a crowd and say, oh, I want to tell you about my friend Mary. She is not very happy, and we need to help her out here. And you can just do a regular slideshow and go through it like this, or you can make a video. So I'll end the show here. To make a video, you go to slideshow. And under slideshow, you can record a slideshow. And if I click on that, it'll give me an option. Do I want to do the slide and animation timings? And do I want narrations? And the answer is yes. So I start recording, and it goes to this full screen mode. And it's actually recording now. And it should be recording my voice. And it should not be recording the little video in the upper right corner there that you can see me in there. And I can cause the animations to happen by pressing the space bar, pressing the mouse key, or pressing the arrow keys. I'll press the right arrow key. And there's, I'd like you to meet my friend Mary. Whoops, I didn't start on the first screen. Let's just cancel out of this thing. Okay, let's get out of that. I didn't start on the first screen. So we'll try that again. Start recording, and one more time. So I'd like you to tell a little story here about my friend Mary. She is thinking about something. She needs to create a new product. Her company is saying, come on, let's get something new here. So she thinks, I think I can come up with something. Let me just work on this for a little bit here. And, well, look, I've really come up with a great idea. I think it's just going to work wonderfully. So let's just go to the lab. And in the lab, we're going to create that new thing. And I think we're going to see sales zoom up. And people will think, oh, Mary did a great job. And then I'll end this recording by clicking this little X here. And if I go now down here to the corner and click on the panel here, you can see the timing of this slideshow. And notice that this one will not show up in the slideshow. And so now with this ready to go like this, I can export this as a video file. And it's a little different on a Mac, but it'll be pretty, I think, intuitive. I go in a Windows, I go File and Export. And there'll be something like this on a Mac. It won't be the same big menu like this, but it'll be similar. Click Export. And then you want to create a video. In this particular case, I'll click Create a Video. And here it says, includes all recorded timings, and it preserves the animations. It says seconds spent on each slide. That's in fact incorrect because you are including all the recordings. So that could be grayed out. It should be grayed out. We're going to do full HD, although you can do something other than full HD. And we're going to use we're using the recorded timings and narration. You could say don't use it, and in that case, then you can choose that 5-second thing or change the timing. But we're using the recorded narrations. And I click on Create Video. It'll ask me where I want to put it. I'm going to put it here with the other one there. Click Save. And if you look down the bottom here, it gives you a progress bar telling you that we're making that video. And we're going to sit here and watch that progress bar go forward. But what's going to happen here is it's going to create an MP4 video. And I think even if you're working on a Mac where it's tempting to make an MOV file, you want to make MP4 because MP4 is so universal that you can use it anywhere. In particular, it works great on YouTube. So I recommend that you use MP4. On Windows, you have the option of making a WMV file, which is really a silly idea. So stick with MP4, and now we're done. So let's go to that folder. I need to go to BlueFX and Live Class Assets and scroll down there to this guy and go to this one here. And we'll see if this turned out. We'll try it out here. Double click on that. And I'm looking for the audio. Why am I not hearing? Oh, okay. I have my audio turned down because it comes out of my speaker. It would create feedback, but it's there. Like so. And there it is. And then you can post this guy online or use it on your company's website or what have you. But is that not great? Notice the dissolved, how that worked out there. And now we'll go to the next slide where we bring in the lab and bring her in and then say, what a star our friend Mary is. Okay, cool. So that is basically how this all works here. This is, I think, a remarkable product. I'm going to go back to the main slide view by clicking normal down here in the lower right-hand corner. It's a great idea that Szilard and the folks at BlueFX have come up with here to give people who are not all that comfortable working with After Effects to work with this. By the way, now that you've created this video, you might want to adjust the timing. You might want to have the animations come on sooner or later, and you can do that inside Premiere Pro or After Effects. Premiere Pro is a better video editor than After Effects is. After Effects is more about effects, and Premiere Pro is more about editing. But again, you can take that MP4 file and do some additional editing on it. And if you want to re-record the audio, you can re-record the audio inside Premiere Pro as well. So I hope that you can come up with all sorts of ways to use all the cool things here that work inside this whiteboard, this PowerPoint explainer here from BlueFX.